This show was a revelation to me in the power of scale and the importance of clear reproduction of imagery in order to get one into the headspace of what wet was, or what anything is, in fact. I was impressed, I am impressed with this show, how undated a lot of the imagery looks like to me. Now, maybe my mind is foggy and my mind is so dated that I am deluded into thinking that. But some things just seem present day relevant. So that surprises me a lot. I guess I'm proud of the fact that Wet was a vehicle that a lot of interesting people, creators, could express themselves in and get launched from. I think that one thing on a personal note, I mean, a little slightly different than Wet proper, I hadn't designed anything of this scope or nature since the Wet days, so that's a long time ago. And I totally relied on intuition, which is a mental mode, a cognitive mode I haven't, I think I've put a little bit on the background of my creative work. I've been maybe much too cerebral or intellectually oriented in my recent projects. And the importance of the intuitive, the importance of operating in that mode is so important when you do creative work. And it reveals so many things come out that you can't logically get to. There's no way that the rational route will lead you there. So, you know, frankly, I don't know if the exhibit is good or bad, or the design is good or bad. I never liked, quote unquote, really good taste graphic design, because I think it lulls people into a kind of complacency. So many times in the experience of making the show, working with Marco in London, the graphic designer who helped with all the technical aspects of this, he would say, "Are you sure you don't want the captions to be flush left with the imagery? Are you sure you want this off balance? Are you sure you want this at a diagonal? Are you sure you don't want a circle around something to contain a text block?" And I felt like, no. It will diminish the energy if you make things too conventional, or if you make things too orderly, or if you fall into that groove of good taste. So those are some of the things I've learned from having the show here. I founded Wet in Venice, California. At the time, Venice, California was not the Venice, California that it is now. Now when I go to Venice, I can't recognize it. Now it's like a hipster shopping mall. At the time, it was a slum by the sea. And it was a place that you could get a studio inexpensively. You were near the ocean, which was fantastic. There were a lot of derelicts. There were gangs in the area. So at night, there were gunshots and helicopters flying over all the time. It was edgy. But when you're young, and definitely the benefits outweighed the bad parts to it. There was also a sense of community among all the creative people there. The people I knew were either in the movie industry or art making. There were a couple of other people there, oddballs like I had a lawyer friend. There were some retired people from a bygone era. But if you had an idea, a crazy idea, there were people to bounce it off of. So when I came up with the idea of wet, the first person I asked was my girlfriend at the time, who I was living with, and she said, "Yeah, that sounds like kind of an interesting idea." So then when I went around to friends and said, "Look, I want to start this magazine about gourmet bathing," I said, "Do you have any ideas for what might be a good name for it?" Everybody had an idea. And then I had a list of maybe 12.5 ideas, and I picked one of them, wet, for various reasons. I thought it was has a lot of different connotations, the word wet in English. It's graphically short, so there's a lot of graphical play that you could do with it. It's slightly ambiguous, and also the 3 letters that comprise it, the W, the E, the T, they're all letters that, for me anyway, have a lot of character, intrinsic character. I don't know why, but they just seem to. So anyway, I started WIT. The first 1.5 years I was doing it all by myself, but I was asking friends to submit articles or cartoons or photographs. The printer, I knew nothing about graphic design at the time. The printer would help me take my designs and put them in a form that was amenable to the printing process. And after 1.5 years, 3 friends, 2 really good friends and 1 recent friend, came to me and said that they wanted to work for WET.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.